Hi, thanks so much for joining me. I'm Donny from The Glitter Rose. You can find me under that name on Instagram and also over on Etsy. Today I thought I'd share with you these two mixed media tags that I've created using some of Maremi Small Art's Halloween images, along with some distress spritz um, and some stain, which added that deepness and richness to the colour, along with some black texture paste and some embossing powder. So, if you're somebody who does mixed media and wants to learn how to incorporate some great texture and depth into their work, I think that this video would be perfect for you. There's lots of different ideas. The tags feature lots of textures and layers, and it's just a lot of fun. So if this is of any interest, please be sure to stick around, hit the like button, let me know down below what you think, and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. I did have a lot of fun making these tags, so I'd love it if you stick around. All right, let's get into it. Off camera, I have die cut some of my favorite tags out of heavy black and white cardstock. This is a lovely die set from All in Create. So it comes with different size tags and there's different inclusions, but I've used two of the largest tags and we'll be using that for this project. But any tags work, pre-made tags, just whatever you use, whatever you have. So I have fussy cut out a couple of images from Maremi's book, Halloween. Sorry, Halloweeny, Collage Ephemera. This is from Maremi Small Art or Marta. I have quite a few of her books, so this one I thought was really cute with Halloweeny images. So I'm not one for having a lot of white around the images, so I always tend to go in with a knife and just cut the paper between the legs. I'm just going over my images now with some collage medium just to seal them, try and keep them from curling too much, but also to knock back some of that sheen that they have. So, um, yeah, I'm just going over them with a light brush, and they'll dry pretty quickly, but I'll pop them aside while we work on the tags. Just some clear gesso would work as well to knock back that sheen and seal it. So you don't have to use what I'm using, just there's always alternatives. Okay, so I always have to put texture on my whatevers. It's got to have texture on it. So for this, I am popping down some black opaque texture paste from Distress. I do like the black because I'm planning on putting on a deep color for the background, so I think black will stand up well. I will say I don't absolutely love this black stuff. It's a little difficult to work with. And this stencil that I've chosen is probably not the right choice because it's so detailed. But we will persevere. I'm sure by the time it's mostly covered up, it's going to look good anyway. So it's very thick, so I'm just, trying to push it through that stencil while holding it still. I think by the time you put your first spread on, the stencils very rarely move, so I don't quite understand why people feel the need to tape. They'll tape all four sides to tape it down in place. I've never been that worried about it, so and in my mind, I'm not painting a perfect picture with this with this texture paste. It's more just for the texture and the interest in the background. All right, I'm going to paint this on and then I'm going to clean up my stuff because this stuff is a nightmare to get off after it dries. Okay, so it's all cleaned up and gee, isn't it looking ugly? But I'm going to try and trust the process and see where it takes me. um, so I've just raided my embossing powder drawer and I've found this California Gold by Wow. And I think that matches the moon really nicely. So I'm sprinkling this onto my texture paste. The texture paste is still a little bit wet, so it's just enough for the embossing powder to grip onto. You don't need to put an embossing ink or anything on the top of texture paste. You can emboss right on top of it. Okay, that looks pretty good. Yeah, it's gripping on nicely now, so okay. I don't want it covered in the embossing powder. I just want little bits of the twinkle. So it's just sort of like putting on glitter. Okay, so now I'm going to heat it up. I have to be very careful not to heat the um, texture paste too much because distressed texture paste really doesn't like heat. It will puff up and carry on like a pork chop. So I'm just going to try to just melt the embossing powder and not the texture paste. Tim Holtz has just released new colours in the Distress Spritz, so that's what I'm using today. So that in my mind I can think to myself, yes, I've used them, I use them regularly, I need the new colours. So I will give myself permission to go shopping for them. Um, so I'm just using a mix of colours. I'm just picking out colours that I think will work. I'm using the Villainous Potion spray stain as a base and then using the micas over the top. I've decided that the spray stains are just too light because they get their colour from the mica, so the actual liquid is not coloured. So you sort of need that heavier base and then you can spray the micas over the top. The texture paste is staying nice and hard even though I'm putting the wet medium over the top. So the great thing about the Distress texture paste is that they firm up quite quickly. Some of these stains I haven't used, and boy, was it a struggle to get into them. I will be sure to edit that out, but I hate trying to get into some of these packets. The plastic is really difficult. Makes me ragey. If I wanted to, I could dab off some of that colour off the texture paste, but I quite like it oxidizing and getting a bit sparkly. So I'll keep it. In person, the effect is just so pretty. It's really nice. So I've tried to decide how I'm going to frame this. Am I going to use ink? So I've got the Elements Lavinia ink down. And then I decided, no, I'd use a crayon. I think that the crayon will go better over that texture paste, and the texture paste is right on the edge. So that's why I decided not to do some ink blending, just to pop on a little bit of the crayon, Distress crayon. I saw that they're not selling the Distress crayon separately anymore, which is a bit disappointing because there certainly are some colours that I use more, especially when I do this sort of thing with them, framing. I just love them because they are so creamy. But again, you don't need to use it. You could use ink or you could use normal crayons, just something just to frame it a little bit. I think it really does make a world of difference when you frame things. I just love these because they smooch down or they like really blend in nicely. They're not hard to work with. Okay, so while I'm working, I like to check the status of things and just make sure that it's all looking pretty cohesive and that they go together. And I also like to audition where things go. So that's what I'm doing now. And that's looking pretty good. I'm happy with that. As I'm looking at this, I feel like it needs something. It needs a little bit more texture or interest in the background. So I'm grabbing down my Distress Oxide in Lost Shadow. It's just a very light grayish blue color, almost white. And I'm going to pop on just some numbers, and that'll just add a little bit of something different in the background, lighten it up a little bit, and yeah, I think that will look good. I don't want anything too much, it just needs something. Again, you don't need to use Lost Shadow, just you could use a white ink pad or like a watermark ink pad or even an embossing ink pad. You could emboss it if you wanted a little bit more texture. You don't need the exact same supplies that I have. You don't even really need to do this. It's just um, I just like it a little bit more. Okay, I want to have some splatters, but I don't want to have white. And I think that this pink actually goes quite well with the larger girl's dress. So I'm going to pop some splatters on. This Worn lipstick is such a great colour. It's so bright. All right, I'm happy with that. I'm going to let that dry. I got a big roll of this fake, I think it's like supposed to be a fake spider web for Halloween. And I grabbed it because I thought it looked really cool. I just grabbed it from the supermarket. I think you can get it in cheap shops as well. I did see one with blood drip and I'm like, I can't use that. So, um, I'm just using that behind a charm. And for this, I'm going to use a skeleton. And I apologize, Bobette. I know you're not a fan of skeletons, so you'll just have to ignore that. Actually, before I glue down this skeleton charm, I'm going to glue the main images down. So as I mentioned before, the images are from Maremi Small Art Spooky Personas Halloweeny. Um, they're images of cute kids with a lot of them are with bat wings. Um, if I'm going to be completely honest, I'm not particularly happy with the book. I think that there are some images that really should not have made the cut. A lot of them are very grainy. The wings on the kids, a lot of the time, they're where their bums would be, or they're lopsided. Some of the images are sort of, they've got a background and then they're overlapped. It's just, I think that the quality really isn't there this time. So I'm not going to pop on an affiliate link because I don't feel comfortable recommending this book. I think if you want cute images, go with one of her other books. Don't go for this one. I think, yeah, the attention to detail this time may not have been where it should have been. I'm going to finish gluing all these down and pop the tags onto onto the other larger tag, and then we'll be back to finish it up. Okay, so they're all glued down and looking good. I'm just trying to decide if I want to make this into a tag stack and have that tag on top of the other one. I had originally planned to do it that way, but now I'm wondering if I make it into a book. Nope, I think I'm going to do two separate book tags. Oh, I don't want to stack. No, I won't, because that little girl is my favorite image on the larger tag, so I'll just leave them as two separates. I want her to stand out a little bit more, so I'm just running around with a white gel pen and smudging it just to soften those lines. Even though I ran around the edge of the girl with some brown ink just to hide any fussy cutting whoopsies, where it wasn't fussy cut perfectly. Um, I still think this white around the images just brings them out from the background. Really helps to make them stand out. So I'm going to run around the whole thing with the pen and just smudge it like I'm doing. I'll do it for both tags, and then we might pop the ribbon on and call it done. To tie everything in, I have decided to pop some of that fake spiderweb in as a ribbon. So I've tied a bow on the little girl, and I'm going to probably just have it coming from the top of that little tag. I think this sort of just ties everything in. I've got some of that fake cobweb behind the little girl as well. So it's all sort of cohesive, and they look good together. And here we are, all finished. Gee, I think that they're cute. The spray stains really do make for an easy, quick background. And that black texture paste ended up looking pretty cool. I did hate it for a while. Alright guys, let me know down below what you think. Leave a comment, hit the like button, and subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Thanks so much for watching. Till next time. Bye for now.